Hey, hi everyone. I hope you're all doing okay. I'm really excited and happy that you are here. Last week I got a request from one of our viewers and a subscriber who has been a supporter of this channel, and she had asked that I kind of look into. She shared a video and wanted me to kind of react or respond to the video, and we'll be doing a bit of that today. We'll do it with a sense of respect for the family, but also for those involved as well, and try to just speculate as to what might be happening. The goal is not necessarily to diagnose. I'm not diagnosing anything. I'm just speculating and just try to look at the scenarios and from a psychological lens to kind of get a sense of what's happening. I'll play the video for us, and after I've played the video, I would kind of to get a sense of what's happened, and hopefully after that I can respond based on that. Let's see what happens. Let's listen to it.
If y'all get it or not, I pray that you never have to experience it. I pray that you never ever have to experience it. I'm glad that y'all grew up with fucking normal parents without crazy, tendencies and narcissistic traits and abusive shit. My mama used to beat my ass all the time for no reason. She threw knives at me. She threw lamps at me. She fucking cut all my hair off. And y'all telling me that's your mother. You shouldn't have punched her. She didn't know she was my mama when she was abusing me. Hi, sir. I called the police. Hi, sir. I called the police. I'm 25 years old. I'm trying to leave my mother's house. She's abusive. She kept me hostage. She's keeping me hostage in the fucking house. All I'm trying to do is get my stuff and leave. She started putting hands on me. I defend myself. It's a whole. I have stuff in the room, but it's not going to fit in this car. It's about to come back and yes. So I am not holding. She was.
I held the door.
No. She held the door and locked it, and she put hands on me when I tried to leave.
You see my head?
Okay, step away from the car, please.
Yes, I am.
Step away from the car.
Oh, I'm not holding that. I am not holding that.
I think I get a sense of what might be happening, but also I would encourage you to try to watch the full video yourself, just to get a sense of the picture. I've also taken time to watch other videos from the lady, just to get a sense of maybe the context, and maybe there might be things that might not have been covered in that moment in the short clip. But I do want us to kind of look at what might be happening in this particular scenario, but also respond to the situation, like especially the video that we've just watched, the viral video. Responding to it, I think, would require some nuanced and empathetic approach, especially considering the cultural and psychological complexities involved. Now, first, I think as a psychologist, it's important to explore both sides of the story, recognizing that each perspective is sort of shaped by a unique set of experiences. Now, but we need to first start by understanding the daughter's perspective. That for her, she seemed to be seeking for independence. Now, the daughter, as a first generation, I believe, Nigerian-American, may be struggling to navigate her own identity between two cultures. Now, this struggle can often lead to conflict with parents who may have different expectations based on their own cultural background. But also, on the other hand, that's also, I believe, a perception of abuse and narcissism from the daughter, who claimed that the mother was abusive and narcissistic. Now, the daughter's decision to kind of call the police might also stem from her perception of her mother's behavior as abusive and narcissistic. Now, this perception, as you would imagine, could be influenced by a lot of things, particularly by the daughter's understanding of healthy relationships, or what it might look like, which might be different from her mother's view. Now, but also there might be an impact of trauma here, because if the daughter has experienced trauma, it could shape her response to her mother's behavior. Now, it's interesting because there was no mention of the father in this video, nor was the father, seemed like the father, it's also not in the house. I might be wrong, but it's interesting because I'm sure that if the father was in the house, maybe this might not have escalated, or he could have intervened at least. Now, there might be something there, because the fact that there was no reference to her father in the video, and also her referring to the mom as controlling and abusive and narcissistic, could there also be something there that might not have been touched on? Or maybe the absence of the father might it have contributed to what might be happening. Maybe there is a trauma there. So definitely that's a relational dynamics in there that needs to be explored. So I can't comment on that because I don't really, there's no information about that that's coming through the video. But as you could imagine, trauma can come in many ways, and it can lead to a heightened sense of fear and anxiety, which of course might have influenced how the lady in the video kind of might have perceived or reacted to the mother's actions. Now, but also there could be external influences in this sense, because the daughter's views and actions might be influenced by external factors such as social norms, peer pressure, or even media portrayal of family dynamics and individual rights. Now, especially in the media, especially we live in a time of almost freedom, right? People want to be free and entangled from whatever clamps that held them down, you know. Now, there's a sense of self-direction in our world today, where people want to focus on anything that makes them feel better, right? The focus is more on the self. So it's possible that societal pressures and social norms, peer pressure, even the media, might have also contributed to the girl's understanding of what family dynamics and her own individual rights might look like. But I also think it's important that we understand the mother's perspective. One, acknowledging her cultural background. Now, the mother's approach to parenting might be deeply rooted to her Nigerian culture, where certain behaviors are considered normal or accepted, may be viewed differently, which of course these behaviors might also be viewed differently in American culture. I say that because my mom is also Nigerian, and I understand how Nigerian mothers can unintentionally actually be, might think that their own parenting style, it's what should be standard, even though that it's often influenced by dysfunction, right? I won't go into that. Maybe in a different video I can unpack that a bit more. So it's possible that the cultural background of the mom, which oftentimes there might be, might also be influencing how she thinks her role as a mom or a parent should be, in a way that she might want to control not just her daughter, but the affairs of her family. Now, but also it's important to acknowledge the perception of her duty as a parent, because from the mother's viewpoint, her actions might be seen as fulfilling her parental duty to guide and protect her child, even into adulthood, especially a female child, right? In fact, in some African cultures, often a female child is not allowed to leave the house, the family house, until she's married. So could that be the mom trying to also play that same role, that cultural role, and her own perception of her parental duty? But I think that could also be an unaddressed trauma here, because the mother's own experiences, possibly including unaddressed trauma, can also influence her parenting child. I mentioned earlier that there was no mention of the father. So could it have been that the mom had lost the father to another woman or another family, and maybe that's playing out in the way she wants to control and hold on to her family? Now, for many of you that are familiar with attachment theory, oftentimes people respond to attachment separation in two ways. It's either through an insecure attachment pattern, which can play out as anxious attachment, where the person is clingy to their relational partners, or the avoidant attachment, where the person is playing out and having a withdrawal attachment expressions. Also, there's disorganized attachment as well, where the person is showing both. But also we have the insecure attachment. So is it possible that what might be happening here is an expression of that? Perhaps the mom might have lost someone close, maybe the husband, because if you would take note that there was no mention of the husband in the video, could it also be a way of also trying to protect the child or cling on to the child without her knowing that there's a psychological issue here? Now, I think that trauma can manifest as a need for control and emotional manipulation, especially if these were survival mechanisms in her past. So it's possible that it's also what might be at play. But I think there are intergenerational differences, because the intergenerational gap between the mother and the daughter can also lead to differing expectations and misunderstanding, especially in a cross-cultural context, where the daughter was born and raised in America, the mom was born and raised in Nigeria. Of course, there will be an intergenerational difference and cultural clash in that sense, especially for two generations that are born in different contexts. But how do we navigate family conflict? Because I think this video on one hand, it's the viral video on one hand kind of speaks to the challenge of family dynamics, but at the same time, I believe that it also is something that speaks to our own challenges, our own family conflict. I have my own, which might not be as brutal as this, but very much similar. But I think one way we could do this, it's really to acknowledge the complexity of emotions and cultures. Because as we look at this particular viral video, which sort of depicts a first-generation Nigerian-American girl's conflict with her mother, it's imperative that we first recognize really the depth and complexity of the emotions and cultural dynamics that's at play. Now, this situation is not just about a disagreement, it is a vivid illustration of the intricate balance or dance between familial bonds, cultural heritage, and even personal identity, as we see. But I think also it's important that we understand the daughter's struggle for identity and independence. Now, for the daughter, raised in a different culture from the mother's, I believe her actions could be seen as a quest for autonomy, a fundamental aspect of individual development, especially in American culture. Now, this quest might be misinterpreted by her mom as rebellion or disrespect, and of course, as a result of that, which is why this is fueling this conflict. Now, it's important to understand that the daughter's perspective is largely shaped by her experiences in a society that really values independence and self-expression. Now, but also I think that it's important to decode the mom's perspective, especially her cultural norms and parental concern, because we can't just sweep everything under the carpet. From the mom's point of view, which of course is really entrenched in Nigerian traditions, her approach to parenting might actually be guided by values of respect, obedience, and family cohesion. Now, what is seen as controlling or manipulative in one culture might be viewed as caring and protective in another culture. Now, for the mom, it's possible from her point of view, she's trying to protect her daughter. From the daughter's point of view, given the fact that she was raised in an American culture, the mom is controlling. So I think it's a problem of language, because if we could swap the idea of controlling and being manipulative as being a cultural expression of showing care and protection, then that might help to change the way maybe the daughter is seeing the whole situation. On the other hand, if the mom can also acknowledge and see that the daughter really needs her independence, and her approach to protection and care might not necessarily be what the daughter wants, that the daughter, her understanding of care and protection is the ability to allow her to explore her autonomy, perhaps we won't be having this issue. Now, this cultural gap can really create significant misunderstandings and emotional distress. And so I think that also, perhaps, I think it's important to say that to acknowledge the role of unaddressed trauma in family dynamics. I'm surprised that the father was not mentioned in any of the video, so that's something to explore. But trauma, whether experienced by the mother or the daughter, can actually significantly have influenced their interaction. For the mother, trauma might manifest in a heightened need for control, a way to ensure that the child is safe and has experienced success. So that need for control is something that kind of trying to make sense of, right? Perhaps could it have been that the mom have lost someone very close to her, maybe the husband, and at the same time it's playing out in her wanting to hold on to her daughter so she wouldn't lose her. Now, for the daughter, on the other hand, past trauma, as we know, could also amplify her desire for independence and emotional distance. Now, so there's something there as well, and I would tie perhaps that experience, the trauma, might also stem from the daughter's perhaps relationship with the father, who she never mentioned about, and I'm not sure, maybe the father might have passed away, but if the dad is alive, then definitely there is something there that needs to be untapped. Because interpreting her mom's action through a lens of, it seemed like she's interpreting those actions, what the mom is doing, through the lens of past hurt that she's experienced. And I'm not sure what that is. But the main thing here is communication and empathy, because to navigate this conflict, open and empathetic communication is vital. Of course, this is really about creating a safe space where both parties can express their feelings and perspective without judgment. Now, of course, this would involve things like active listening, right? Acknowledging each other's emotions, and even attempting to understand the underlying causes. I think that the moment the daughter needs to sit down and have a really frank talk. And I'm hoping that they would see this video and that would help them to kind of start those conversations. But I think also it's important, most especially for both the mom and the daughter, to seek professional guidance to really tap and explore these deeper issues, because in cases where trauma and deep-seated emotional issues are present, professional guidance from a culturally sensitive therapist can actually be very invaluable. Now, therapy can provide the tools and the space needed for healing and understanding, which I believe would help both the mom and the daughter to actually navigate their complex relationship. But I think an interesting approach in resolving such conflicts, it's actually through what is called narrative therapy, where individuals are encouraged to reframe their stories. Now, this doesn't mean that they are denying their past, but rather that they are choosing to focus on building a future narrative that essentially emphasizes understanding, empathy, and mutual respect. And so I'm hoping that as I come to a conclusion, resolving conflicts like this, like the one that we've watched in the viral video, requires patience, empathy, and a willingness to really understand the intricate layers of culture, personal experience, and emotion. And when we acknowledge each other's perspective and engage in open communication and seek professional help when needed, I believe that families can navigate these turbulent waters and essentially move to a more harmonious and understanding relationship. My hope is that the daughter and mom can find a way to sit down and seek help, because clearly I would say it might be needed. But overall, it's been wonderful talking about this. And if you do have any video or any scenario that you would want me to react to, I'll be happy to do that. But in the meantime, I hope that you have a wonderful time of celebration this Christmas. And it's been wonderful talking to you. Have a great Christmas celebration. Bye for now.